Genocide was a term first used in 1944 by a survivor of the Holocaust to describe the Nazi policy of the systematic murder of the Jews, as well as the Ottoman Empire atrocities against Armenians from 1915 through 1923, which Armenians referred to as the Armenian massacres. Turkey's President Erdogan denies the Armenian Genocide ever occurred.
Contemporaneous photographs show death marches and concentration camps where thousands of Armenians perished. There are images of beheadings, burnt bodies, railway cars packed with Armenians being herded into the desert. There are descriptions of the Euphrates River filled with blood. Ottoman leader Talat Pasha's chilling resolution that there was, quote, no room for Christians in Turkey. Even the ambassador from Germany, Turkey's ally, said that government leaders were admitting that the purpose behind their actions was, quote, the total obliteration of the Armenians.
My father, Harry Akisian, was born in the Black Sea port of Samson in 1902. His father, Gregor, was a wealthy tobacco merchant who traveled back and forth to the United States. He had dual Turkish and American citizenship. My father told this anecdote many times. One morning he was working alone in the tobacco shop. A bag of gold coins was in the walk-in safe. For some unknown reason, a premonition perhaps, he stashed a handful of the coins in his pocket, knowing that his father would punish him severely when he found out. Later that fateful day, the Turks came to the shop and arrested his father. They took Grigor away and he was never seen again. The Turks confiscated the tobacco store, the family home, and took everything of value. My father, his mother Mariam, and his younger brother and sister were forced to leave their home in Samson, taking with them only what they could carry. The gold coins provided food and security for the family as they were forced, along with the rest of the Armenian population, to leave Samson on marches into the wilderness. They hid in caves. My father's younger brother and sister died of deprivation, which drove his mother into deep despair. She lost her will to live. At night, my father would wrap her hair around his wrist to keep her from wandering off. One morning, he woke up to find that his mother was gone. He never saw her again. After his mother's disappearance, my father was captured by the Turks and sold as a slave to an Arab caravan. It took 3 years, but my father managed to escape and made his way by ship to Marseille, France. His father's brother, who lived in Massachusetts, sponsored his passage to the United States. My father worked in his uncle's warehouse for a year. When he was 17, he lied about his age and joined the Navy. He served for 12 years. During that time, he became the U.S. Navy's middleweight wrestling champion and then the middleweight champion of all the navies of the world. After he left the Navy, my dad had a successful professional wrestling career. He won the World Heavyweight Championship twice. He was known to his family and friends as Ali Baba, his professional wrestling name.
My grandfather worked as a conductor for the railroad operated by the French. He and my grandmother and their 4 children lived in a wall compound near the railroad tracks in Adana. They had always gotten along well with their Turkish neighbors and felt protected by my grandfather's position with the railroad until they learned my grandmother's family had been massacred. In 1921, the French relinquished control to the Turks, and my grandfather began to plan their escape. They sold rugs and furniture, and my grandfather changed paper money into gold coins. My grandmother knitted a belt and sewed the gold coins into the center. One evening, the Turks broke into the house next to my grandparents and slaughtered all of the people living there. My grandfather knew they had to leave right away. At midnight, an engineer backed the train down the tracks near to the compound, and my family left their home with only what they could carry. My dad, who was 8 years old, was selected to wear the gold coin belt. The train took my family to Syria, and they obtained papers to travel to Egypt, where my grandfather's family lived. Because my grandmother had a relative in Massachusetts, my family was granted visas to the United States. My family settled in Watertown, Massachusetts, a city which had a growing Armenian population, and the city where I was raised.
On this vote, the yeas are 405 and the nays are 11.
We join the House who voted to do so by passing a resolution affirming the facts of the genocide, 405 to 11. Today, the Senate shows the same resolve. The history of the Armenian Genocide. An Armenian priest, Krikoris Balakian, recorded some of the massacres of innocent Armenians. Quote, he said, in Ankara and its surroundings, only a couple hundred miles east of Constantinople, the killing was done with axes, cleavers, shovels, and pitchforks. It was like a slaughterhouse. Armenians were hacked to pieces. Infants were dashed on rocks before the eyes of their mothers. It was indescribable horror. We have just passed the Armenian Genocide Resolution recognition, and it is fitting and appropriate that the Senate stands on the right side of history in doing so. It commemorates the truth of the Armenian Genocide.
Despite objections from NATO ally Turkey, President Biden was the first American president to officially recognize the Armenian Genocide. Each year on this day, we remember the lives of all those who died in the Ottoman era Armenian Genocide and recommit ourselves to preventing such an atrocity from ever again occurring. Beginning on April 24, 1915, with the arrest of Armenian intellectuals and community leaders in Constantinople by Ottoman authorities, 1.5 million Armenians were deported, massacred, or marched to their deaths in a campaign of extermination. Today, as we mourn what was lost, let us also turn our eyes to the future, toward the world that we wish to build for our children, a world unstained by the daily evils of bigotry and intolerance, where human rights are respected and where all people are able to pursue their lives in dignity and security. Let us renew our shared resolve to prevent future atrocities from occurring anywhere in the world, and let us pursue healing and reconciliation for all the people of the world.